This, hold on. Let me go grab a hat.
Yoink.
There we go. You guys know why you clicked on the video based off the title of the video.
Really? Yes.
This is the American classic. This is what I think of when I hear a classic car. This is one of the best looking cars ever made. No question about it. I don't care what you say in the comments. This is a 1955 Chevy Bel Air.
All right, everybody, here it is in all of its glory. This thing's been around for like ever and a day. So my dad had this car back before I was even born. There's pictures, like a bazillion pictures of me sitting on the battery box, and dude, I had like a greased, dirty brush in my mouth. Probably would mess me up. So my dad had this forever. So he built it, unfortunately, in the 80s. So 86, he sold it. Sold it to my cousin, no less. And then pretty much all my cousin did was drive it. So my cousins had it since 86 until about a couple months ago. So I've been dying to show you this. All I've been doing is ordering parts and getting ready to put it together, get it running, get it on the road. I'm so excited about this thing. This thing pretty much started it all for me. My dad used to take me out to the street races in this thing. It's got the same seat in it that I used to fall asleep in. You know, whoever knows how long we stayed out, but I'd fall asleep on the front seat. He had a big block in it. He used to go out with slicks, think he's all cool. It's probably like a 13-second car back in the day, but
This thing for you is like Big Red for me.
yeah, it's like this thing here for you. So yeah, this thing's been together as long as you've been alive. Same deal with this. So my dad was a big Tri-5. My uncle and my dad, big Tri-5 guys. They had more of these things than you know what to do with. Yeah, so here's a couple of them. So this is my dad's back in the day when he was in the military. At 55, he later put a zig rig on the back of this, tilt front end and everything. This is a 56. He wound up selling about this. He sold this before the 55. And then this is a 57 that my uncle and my dad had together, a little race car. He used to run in a Carlsbad. Used to bracket race that thing.
So it says Ziegler t-shirts on the side right there.
My dad prints t-shirts. My uncle was a chiropractor, Parker Chiropractic. Some of the Tri-5s that my dad had. More Tri-5s than you can imagine one person having. Between the both of those guys, easy 20. They had the race car. My dad had this. My dad had a 56 sedan livery. My mom had a 57 two-door wagon. He had that 56 Bel Air. My uncle had 55s. He had a 55 that my cousin has now. He had a 55 race car. He had a 56 sedan livery also, 55 truck. Dude, 55s, 6, 7s, all up and down the street is ridiculous.
You must be rich.
Psych.
This is the one.
This is the only one we know the whereabouts of, is it?
Yeah, this is, yeah. And we know in the whereabouts because it's pretty much sad. The last registration sticker that's not even on the car, it's in the glove box, was 98. My poor cousin. He pretty much ran in the ground. You can see over here, to give you a little glimpse, is the oval port, you know, the peanut port, oval port big block got away from him. I guess he couldn't, as the story goes, I don't know if I believe all the stories, but he's going too fast. He's doing about 100 in this thing, which is pretty fast in stock suspension at 55. And he tried to take an off ramp, and it didn't work out. So he hit there, and then it came back and got the quarter panel. So that's the worst of it. But you can see that it is a Bel Air car. It's got the Bel Air doors with the holes in it, but the fenders, my dad must have changed it never had the Bel Air fenders on it. So I got to see about adding. The only difference is the same fender. They just have the holes for the trim. So it's a Bel Air, two-door sedan. I have all the trim, everything. You see all this stuff is just immaculate, just dirty from sitting, but all the trim is just amazing. It's all original OE factory Gucci amazingness. Its windshield's probably pretty new. I mean, the car did sit outside a little bit, but the rubber's still pretty good. I'm sure my dad put a new windshield in it at one point. The only thing I wish my dad didn't do is he put the monster tack on the dash, because like I said, man, my dad needed a tack and everything. Everything was a race car.
And the Speedo didn't work.
The Speedo didn't work, and my dad actually rolled the Speedo to 1955 and then disconnected it.
Real tweaker, man.
That's my dad for you. So my cousin has been slowly trying to get this thing on the road, and it just didn't work out for him. So some of the suspension has been changed. We'll show it here. The front end is kind of sitting on it. It does have a small block Chevy in it that's out of my uncle's 55 that I mentioned. My cousin got it. My uncle and my cousin had a race car Nova when he passed, and then my cousin did some engine swapping around and took the better one or whatever, got rid of the Nova. So this engine that's in here now was in my uncle's 55 Chevy, but I don't get that. My cousin gets that back. So we got to pull it out. So we got to pull it out. We got to get this thing ready to start going back together.
Back on the road.
Yeah, so this is what I mentioned. This was a car that I was gonna take the engine out of the dually that we showed and put it in here. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll use the engine out of the red car. And then if you watch the video on that engine, it turned out being a piece of junk. Now I'm kind of in limbo. So this thing already made like 5 different turns, and we just got it out of the trailer. And we gotta take the wheels and tires. I don't get those either. My cousin can have his rally wheels. These are the front wheels and tires off my dad's 62 over here. So for right now, these tires are okay. They're kind of weathered, but I'm probably gonna run these for a little bit. But I'm gonna put these on the front of here for right now. This thing's gonna get like a whole bunch of mixed up parts right now because I don't know exactly. I mean, this is gonna be a driving car. It's not gonna be a race car. So eventually, over the course of the time, long periods of time, it's gonna get converted. But right now, all the hand-me-down parts are kind of race oriented. So it's gonna have the pizza cutters, you know, the 15.5s or 4.5s, whatever these things are. And then I'm gonna take the 1510s that are on the back of this guy, and the tires were junk. So I'm gonna do some changing to my Camaro. So I'm taking the new tires that are on the back of the Camaro, and I'm gonna mount them on the 1510s and going on here. So this thing's gonna kind of be racy in appearance, but we're still gonna drive it. It's a street car. This is not gonna be a race car. And just to put your mind at ease right now, it will never be a gasser, and I will never sell it, so don't ask. Let me pop the hood off of here. You see what's going on. It does latch, but there's no hinges in it. So we'll take it off here and set it aside. Little guy off of here. And I got the bumper noise and everything else. You can see it's got a 6-cylinder core support. I guess my cousin got this different. I don't remember the whole setup of the car. My dad sold this thing. I was like, a little kid. But I guess it had a cross flow in it. My dad torched it and kind of Mickey Moused it. My dad was a king of Mickey Mouse. And then if it ran, he left it Mickey Mouse.
Hi, everybody.
So my cousin got a core support, but we got the 6-cylinder one, which is kind of nice to get a little more room. This is the engine. And I kid you not, man, my uncle would, I think, roll over in his grave if he saw it right now with all the crap on it. Literally. All the crap on it. But he's been sitting in the garage, and I guess it got a little hitchhiker. But we evicted him, I guess. I haven't seen one. You can see we got, he changed some suspension. I don't know what brand this stuff is. We got some new control arms, and then drop spindles, brakes. I'm gonna run this for now, but eventually I'm gonna have to change this because any engine configuration that's in here probably is not gonna have enough vacuum to run this booster. I could just run a vacuum pump, but I'll probably just do like a hydro boost or something. I rebuilt the rear end for him probably like 3 years ago or so now. It's a Chevelle rear end. I'm probably gonna wind up changing it. It's a tall geared, it's like a 256 posi, which is really funny because the ring gear is like all the way over. Normally it's thicker, but it's like, the carrier is really, really narrow. It's pretty funny looking, but it's a 256 posi, so I can run a 3-speed, but I'm pretty sure I'm almost 100% through all the changes that I'm gonna run a 4L80 in this thing. So the engine is the only thing that keeps changing around, but it's always gonna have a 4L80, I think, because I don't wanna cut the tunnel for a 6L80, 90, something bigger tranny. Kind of want to keep it as intact as possible. And I mean, this car, I think this car is as solid and original, complete of a 55 that I've seen recently. This thing is ridiculous. Like all the sheet metal, it's got a little bit in the front. These things are notorious for the front here, getting the rot. And this one here has a little bit up in here, but the headlight bezel would cover it. But this fender, I don't even know. I know a guy that might have a couple Bel Air fenders, so we might just hang these on the wall and get a Bel Air fender. But let me show you inside, give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. Look at this thing. Glorious interior here. This is a seat my dad recovered back in the many moons ago. He liked his bow ties. I think he liked his bow ties about as much as tacks. Check out the dash in this thing. I mean, this dash is just unreal. Other than the tack my dad had to put up here. I mean, I swear this radio works. If it had a speaker in it, this thing is unreal.
Man, who's coming for us?
They don't use the sirens when they come for me. FBI, open up! You see on the Speedo here, rolled it to 1955, and then obviously disconnected it because it doesn't have a Speedo. But this thing is all here. It's all dried and hasn't been used in forever and a day. Oh yeah, man. That's good stuff. See, there's your 98 sticker that never made it to the car. So the last time I guess it was on the road was like 96 or something. Got the heater box in it. I mean, it's all here. This is a good old shifter my dad put in it. These are the gauges that are originally in here. I think this one was a water temperature. My cousin changed it around a little bit, and this is his fan, the electric fan on here. With too small a gauge, all these wires are like melted. And then my cousin added these. Did a good job mounting it. Definitely a nice car. You see the floors? In my opinion, just primo. This chair. You look underneath this thing.
Primo, like cousin?
Yeah, this is like a cousin. This is a Brimo.
Not Brimo, Primo.
Primo. So when my dad did this car originally, it was a full frame off deal. He took the frame out, sandblasted the whole thing. It's funny because he always made the comment about when he did it. Right after he got it painted, somebody came over and put his foot up on the frame to kneel over, tie a shoe or something stupid. It doesn't matter how nice he makes stuff, people still don't care. But so underneath, he didn't do anything to underneath of the car, just the frame. So you look underneath this thing, and it looks like it came straight out of 1955. The undercoating, it's unreal. It's kind of a shame to do the mini tubs, but you have to if you want to do anything decent on this thing on a tire to drive it. I don't want to have little pizza cutters in the back. You see here's the quarter chrome. It's all great shape. It's just dirty. And the headliner bows. The seat is out of a 57. Upholstery pattern's a little different. I mean, just to have the original, this is the original 55 seat, that alone, mostly people took these seats out and threw them in the trash. Put their bucket seats in there. This thing's got the original seats in it.
Well, yeah, you gotta make it look like two-lane blacktop, right?
Yeah.
American graffiti.
It's be American graffiti. It won't be no two-lane blacktop.
But that can't be your car. It must be your mama's car.
This thing has all the original trim. My dad, he was good at getting all the cheeriest of trim and getting everything together. That's one thing he was definitely good at. At one point, these bumpers are re-chromed. I mean, they're straight as can be, and they're original, old school, the legit bumpers are not repops. So I'm gonna get these re-chromed again. You can see this was a factory V8 car. It was a Bel Air, so it had the big, the big whopping 265 in it, racing engine. 95 was in last year's on the street, so it expired 96. And he never put the tags on it. So these plates are kind of interesting. So when my dad died, we went through he had a whole bunch of license plates. So we're going through all the plates, and we came across a set of blue plates that were brand new, still in the package. It had the stickers and everything. Like he registered a car. It was registered in what, 70?
He got them in 79, but they expired in 1980 because it was an 80 sticker.
So yeah, so at the time we didn't know. So whatever the plates were registered for was registered from 79, expired to 80. So it was never put on a car. It was California blue plates. And then come to find out, after getting this and doing some more research and putting two and two together, that he registered this. So my dad always liked to register the car. He would build a car and he would register it before it was even done, like for a year, before it was even done. And then when it was done, he could just go drive it. You didn't have to worry about it. So whenever he got it finished. So he registered this car originally with the blue plates in 79. And then in 80, when it was due, so this car must have not been done in 79 running. So in 1980, when the registration came due, he put these plates on it. So these plates have been on it since 1980.
And if you guys follow us on our Instagram and Facebook, you might have saw some other license plates that he had along with these, but this is just insane. And we knew that he had license plates because he had some hanging up around his property, but we never knew that he had these.
But in California, the historical plates you can't drive as a daily driver. You can only use the historical plates for like going to parades and shows and stuff like that. I mean, you can do it. A lot of people do it. You can do it until a cop has a bad day. But I decided I didn't want to risk it. So I actually registered it. I got a pair of the 51 plates with the 55 metal tag. So I have the original, with the 51 plate, but they're the bigger plate that would have been on this car. So it's kind of cool that I have plates and the registration, everything, all the paperwork from this thing from 79 till now. So I can either put, I could run these, I could run the blue plates, even though technically you can't put them on 55, but because it was registered in 79, they were issued to it, and I have the paper that I could put the blue plates on there if I wanted. So it's pretty trick. That was a pretty cool thing that we found at my dad's when we're going through all this stuff. A lot of that tidbit won't even care to most of the world, but in California,
it's only trick in California.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Something else I want to mention: the title when we bought the car was still one of those tiny little pink titles from back in the day, because now they're blue and they're bigger. But this was the size of it. It wasn't folded up or anything. This was the size of it right here inside of this little envelope. So I thought that was pretty funny.
This is a flashback in time right here. So like I said, everything my dad had was a race car. So we got the battery in the back. My cousin was telling me that when he bought it, it had two batteries like right in the center, right in the way. So my cousin did the mat. So this is just I think this is a Dan Chuck, just a stock replacement mat. But other than that, I mean, this is 1955. This thing's all original. We got some original hood hinges, a couple different deals to choose from. I think I'm gonna take out the spare tire wheel, make it flat. My dad gave my cousin the steering wheel back moons ago. We got the 55 Bel Air steering wheel, has the third spoke. So I'm gonna get this restored and put it back on. I'm gonna have the big old man steering wheel. These are the fender chromes, the Bel Air fender chromes. I got a couple extra of some of it, so I gotta go through and see. These I think these are the doors here. door pieces where it meets up. These are the janky traction bars my dad had on here, 79 or whatever. You didn't have Caltrax to choose from yet, so that's what was on here. My whole goal, obviously, is get the engine and tranny out of it, but I want to get this thing just on the road and then worry about chroming and everything else. You see the bumpers are falling off of it. They're missing the outside bracket, so we need to see if we got them in the trunk.
Uh-oh.
They're not coming for me. My dad was planning on painting it black, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sand like 8 layers of all this primer and garbage off of it, and then probably just, I don't know, rattle can it or something for now and just get it one color. Like I said, the rear end of this thing is it's a 12 bolt, but it's a Chevy 12 bolt, so it's got the ears on top of it. And just give you an example of my dad and his Mickey Mouse-ness.
It's me, Mickey Mouse.
So I'm pretty sure 55 Chevys, the brake line's on the passenger side, and then the Chevelle, the brake line's on the driver's side. So his fix was when he got the rear end to put it in the car, the brake line didn't make it. So he just took the Chevelle brake line and the 55 brake line and put them together. So we had two flex lines go over the top of the rear end, and it worked. And that's the way it was until my cousin pulled the rear end out and I rebuilt it for him. Yeah, some of it's Mickey Mouse, but a lot of times it works. And I was gonna check, I might use the rear end out of the old 62 over there, but I think it might be a little too narrow. Probably just do like a Fab 9 on the rear end, and I'll do a lower gear ratio that'll work with the height of the tires that's gonna be on it and the 4-speed automatic.
Now, that's the first time you're gonna put a Ford part in your Chevy.
It's borderline though, because it's aftermarket. It's like a fabricated, so it's not really a Ford. It's like pretend.
It passes tag.
It passes tag. I'm gonna leave the battery in the trunk. I'm not fond of having the 55 batteries on the firewall. I mean, the car's got a couple bad spots. Yeah, I think my dad, I don't know what's going on here. My dad, obviously bandaged something. We got something bad here. We'll take care of that when we get into the body work and straighten out this quarter panel. But you can see in the door here, in the jamb, right here, it's got a little bit of a bad, nothing that like, oh my gosh, what is this thing, like 68 years old? I don't think you got much to complain about. So out of looking over the whole entire car, those are the 2 spots that I found that's like, oh. So that's pretty much the worst of it. There's a little dent over on that side, which is, kind of common. Everybody sat on these cars back in the day. Yeah, man, it's cool people sit on the roof of your car. Put your feet on your hood, watch a drive-in movie, look all cool, smoke a cigarette. If my cousin didn't drive it and do a guardrail, this thing would have been like a 10.
Now it's like a 9.8.
It's still a 10. We could fix this.
It's a 55 Chevy,
Yeah.
of course it's a 10.
Yeah, dude. Here's the front bumper. Front bumper's the same deal. My dad had it re-chrome back in the day, and I mean, it looks amazing. It's even got the cool grill guard. I like this, the grill guard on. I'm gonna leave that on there, but eventually we'll get it straightened out. Get it re-chromed. But we'll get it back on the car for right now. Look how original this thing is. It even has the original horns in it. Both of them. Like, it's got everything other than being used. It's like you drove it out of the showroom floor in 1955. It's all here. I got some wing window here. It's kind of rough, but the frame's okay. And just more of the trim. Got the bird, which I don't know why people take the bird off the hood. That's like, you need to have the bird on the hood. But all of this stuff's cherry. It's like it's brand new. Got the original dome light. Got the rear armrest. It's pretty funny because everybody smoked back then, so you got an ashtray in the back, ashtray in the front, ashtray in the middle. My dad, he didn't have one of anything. If he had a car complete, then he had like 20 extra pieces of chrome and moldings, and just like this thing, we got an extra fender and cowling and all kinds of stuff. Things been painted for 20 years. Why we got an extra fender and cowling? But got a complete dash, 62 dash. So that's the way my dad was, He had so many of these things. They had parts all over the place, which I don't know why you couldn't find the Bel Air fenders though. We're gonna pull this engine and tranny out. We'll take this front end off. It'd be easier, I think, to do the engine and tranny together and just get it out, get you set up. We're gonna get pulling.
All right, the engine and tranny. Ouch. That's the jack right there. That ow. And I'm not sure if we mentioned it already, but this is not a part of the deal of us buying this car. So we might be getting the tranny in some other way, shape, or form, but the engine is going back to our cousin. So this is how we got it. It is a roller. You can see here the master mechanic's already getting to work. He's marking all the little holes that he needs to fill, because obviously with this being block, it's really hard to see the holes. So by marking it with tape, it'll be easier for him to see it later on and be like, oh yeah, that's a hole I need to fill. And I'm not sure how easy you can see it on this black firewall, but you can tell this is definitely not factory and smooth. My grandpa decided he wanted to beat up the firewall to put on some valve covers with the big block that used to be in here. So that's gonna need to be addressed later on as well. But other than that one spot, this is a pretty nice firewall, pretty straight, looks really good. I almost feel like that guy that was leaning on it, tying his shoe after my grandpa sandblasted his frame right now. This is probably where he stood right here or something like this. And over here, the master mechanic did a little bit of sanding, and you can just tell already how good of shape this is in. This is bare metal already right there. Really, really straight and really good shape. There's some Bondo right here. I'm sure there's Bondo all throughout this car because that's the way my grandpa did body work. Like, I'm not saying having Bondo is bad, because at the end of the day, it's really hard to not have no Bondo in your body work, but just having like a big blob filling a hole, you know, something like a dent. If you just fill it all in with Bondo, and then that's a no-no. Oh, no. Master mechanic also took out some of the gauges here on the floor next to the engine and tranny. Got water and amps. These gauges definitely look old school, especially these ones. These ones look even more old school. There's that oil pressure and amps too. So I guess you need 2 amp gauges for the 1 battery and the 1 alternator on here. I definitely like the look of the Americans over the rally wheels, especially on this era of a car. Like if it was this Camaro right here, rallies might look a little better, but I mean, you can never go wrong with polished Americans, especially on a 55 Chevy. This just fits the bill right here. But yeah, that's the history of this car. It's really crazy now that we have it, that my grandpa had it previously, and that both of his previous cars are sitting right here. Big red, and there's no name for this, 55 Chevy. Hit the like button and share it around. If you're a 55 Chevy fan, try 5. Man, that means everybody should be liking this video. Everybody will be sharing this around. This is one of the best cars ever made.
It is the best car ever made.
Wise words of the master mechanic. I'll see you guys next time.